Oh guys, so right now we're in the audio section. This is, I guess, part 3. So right now you see that we have desktop audio, microphone, etc., etc. The desktop audio, that's pretty much what your audience will hear based on your in-game sounds, your music, etc. So you pick your audio device. Microphone, well, what microphone are you using to speak? Pick that there, right? In most cases, you can just say default, and it will work perfectly. But sometimes you gotta be a little choosy and pick. So push to talk, say you like to use push to talk, you like pressing, tab or whatever during your streams so people don't hear background noise so much. You can have push to talk. Great. Right, set a delay if you want. The moment you press the button when the mute attacks or when the mute not attack, or whenever you can start speaking or whatever. That's if you want delay. You might have a key for muting and unmuting your mic or your in-game sounds. And this would make it that they can't hear you, but you can still hear the game, right? This is just for your audience. This mic is just for your audience. And so now we get to this section, right? Notice earlier in the beginning over here that we have these basic microphone and audio settings. So say you have a really crappy mic, right? You made this 100, you made this 5 or like whatever, right? 5. Look at that. That's as low as it can go, that's as high as it can go. And you're trying to talk over your game. You can't decrease the sound of your game because then it'll be too quiet for you to hear. But at the same time, your audience can't hear what you're saying. And you're just so frustrated. So what do? You go to audio. And because you leave this at 1, right? But instead you boost this up to like 4. And now this is 400% of that 100%. So now people can hear you. You'll be much louder. But at the same time, you need to watch out. What you need to watch out for is that background noise will also increase. So say you have a pretty crappy mic that picks up a lot of background noise, they're going to hear that background noise. Say your mic is right in front or right behind your keyboard, they're going to hear that keyboard like crazy, right? And so you got to watch out for that. But at the same time, you might want to do it anyway. And that's why you might want to do push to talk as well. So you might want to combine these two. So there's that. And some people have an offset. I don't know why people need this, but some people do. You want to play around with it. I'm not really sure what it does, but it's not important. Just leave it at 0. And that's the audio. Okay, so advanced, right? Is it so advanced? We'll find out. Say you have an i5 or an i7, use multi-threaded. Why not? Makes it nice and better, right? Priority class. Normal means it's the same as everything else, but sometimes you want your computer focused more on streaming quality, the streaming software, the rendering. You want your computer to focus on that a little bit more than everything else. So you want to put it just above normal, right? Not high because you want to play the game, so above normal. Right? Scene buffering time, whatever, leave that at 700. Just leave all these. Right, previewing, like who cares, right? Just leave it blank. It's now going to be in this video section. Right? What are these CPU presets? What's this encoding profile? Well, because you're streaming at Twitch, you want to keep this in main, and you want to keep your keyframe interval at 2. Right? Don't put it at 0, put it at 2. So that means every 2 frames, or every 2 seconds. They're going to give you this really nice frame. So 1, 2, good frame. 1, 2, good frame. Well, that's more like 3, but 3 seconds. But you want it 2. So 0, it's kind of like they give you good frames randomly. So maybe like you have a low bitrate scenario in game, and so it'll give you good frames all the time. These key frames, it'll be like bam, 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 bam. Everything looks so crisp, crisp, crisp. And then you go some crazy action. It becomes like 1, and then after 3 seconds, another 1, or maybe you have such a good computer or whatever, or such a good upload, it becomes bam, 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 bam. And so Twitch is like, dude, man, even if your upload's fantastic, our servers can't handle that. Right? If everyone's uploading super good video, like that's going to kill our servers. And so we got to limit people to 2. And so that's what they put it at 2. Okay, so, and of course you want use CFR, right? Custom encoder settings. Don't worry about this. Like, if you want to do this, you can just Wikipedia this and you can just type whatever you want. Allow 61 to 120 FPS. No one's gonna, are you really gonna upload 61 to 120 FPS? Can people's monitors on average look at 61 to 120 FPS? No. So just uncheck that. So about this part, right? This is main, so CPU preset. So say your upload is so crappy, but your computer is so good. What are you gonna do? Well, why not just put it slower, right? And so what this does is that it'll use your CPU and it'll just render the video to like very, very good quality. And so this is kind of like the rendering speed, I guess. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but this is kind of like the rendering speed. Slower means that it would actually take time to make good video, to give it to Twitch, to give it to the viewers. The thing is, this will kill your CPU, right? So if you want to do this, if you want to actually do this preset, you know, you'd go to like medium, right? So from very fast to medium. Very fast is default, but say your CPU is crap, right? You want to put it like ultra fast, but very fast is default. If you put it in faster, there's not much of a difference. Put it fast, bit of a difference, not so much of a difference. Medium, you notice something. Of course, slower is like the most, but of course it's the least optimal. Like you're kind of killing your CPU for no reason, basically. When you go past medium, it's like it's pointless. But there are differences though. So say your CPU is just beast mode, just like whatever. Beast mode CPU, crappy upload, who cares? That's slower, but very fast is default. Okay, so you got this down. Ignore this. Ignore this. Great. Noise gate. Noise gate's amazing, right? So you notice when I'm talking, you see how this spikes up? So you're clicking, right? I'm gonna click. You notice that the highest peak is around here, and since it's around here, you look at this, right? Have the threshold, close the threshold around 4 decibels around the loudest noise, right? So let's put this around here, right? Then click, right? So and it's around here. And what's 6 plus 6? 12. Not really. More like 0, right? 10 plus 6, 16. You're going to do this, right? So pretty much anything below this, they're not going to hear. They won't hear it. And so sounds around here, it's kind of like sketch, but up here is like they'll hear it. So it's a nice noise gate to have, especially when we got a lot of background noise. But the thing is, once you open these gates and you start talking, people can hear what's in the background. So even though you have these gates, so say you got this hiss that's always going on. The hiss is around here. But the moment you speak, they'll hear your voice and they'll hear the hiss. But things when you're quiet, they won't hear the hiss. So this is pretty nice for those situations. So in a way, you don't really need that push to talk function that I mentioned earlier. But at the same time, you might want to, it just really depends on the situation. And also one thing to note that I did not mention, the bit rate, maximum 3500. No matter what, your upload can be like a trillion. Maximum 3500. That's what Twitch prefers. And if you ignore that, some people do ignore it. They say, oh, whatever, put it 4,000, 5,000, because I want to stream 60 FPS, 1080p video. So I'm going to put it 5,000 or like 4,500. Twitch is going to be like, okay, fine, you can do that. But the thing is, we might make it that people can't watch it on their mobile phones, on their iPads, or anything like that. So that's, if you want people to watch it on their iPads and phones, put it at 3,500. Because they start cutting things off. Some people are like, oh well, I can still see it on my phone even if it's a 4000. It's like, well, good for you, right? For some people, it's not going to be the case. So yeah, so these are things to remember. And I think this is pretty much it for how to use OBS in general. Of course, if you have any questions, you can just send me a PM on Area Games, assuming that I'm still there, because right now I am, but maybe in the future I won't be. Who knows? But for now, I am. So send me a PM there. You can send me a PM on Twitch if you want. I rarely read those, but I might do it. You can also comment in the comment section below. That works too. So that's pretty much it. And once you're all done, you say okay, and you're like, boom, start streaming, and it'll be beautiful. So that's how you use OBS. So now for scenarios, right? Say you got a 1 megabit upload, beast computer. You know what? Let's not say beast computer. Let's say average computer. Let's say my computer, right? My computer is not that great. You can see in my specs in my Twitch profile or Twitch channel, you see like my hardware. It's not that great. So say your upload's crap. What are you gonna do? What's gonna be your bitrate? You know you can do 500, right? Because that's halfway. But you also know that you want to play a game without lag. So your limit, you're going to use around 50% to 70% of your upload. I guess in all situations, 50 to 70, right? Some of you might be desperate. You're like, oh man, so desperate. I want to use this. Of course, some of you have 0.5 upload. If that's the case, use this, 350. Right? But say you got 700. Right? This is what I actually used to use, right? I use around like 550, some of these around 600. Maximum I would use is 700. But if things get laggy, I drop it down to 600 or maybe 650. Because that really also depends on your audio as well, right? Obviously you can't use 320 bitrate with a 650 max bitrate. It doesn't make sense, right? It's like, why is your audio so good when your upload is so crap for your video? Right? You're gonna have to make that 48. Right? You might have to make this 41.1. Right? And so this is probably gonna be what you're using for 1 megabit upload. Right? And then of course this is all the same. Video encoding, you might be like, oh man, I gotta downscale it to 2.0. Right? I got a decent CPU, so I might want to do this, right? That's not a lot of pixels, so using this is okay, right? Say you got like some full screen craziness, like it's like 1920 by 1080. It's like, oh well, 2.0 is already a lot of pixels, so I might want to keep it bilinear, or maybe I'll go to bicubic max. FPS, I just can't do this, so I'm gonna have to make it 2024 instead, right? And if I'm super duper desperate, 20, but that's gonna be terrible. But 24, that's like ugh. And so you got that down. And audio, nothing here. Advanced, you might be like, my computer is somewhat good, so I might put it fast. I might put it fast and leave it at that. But sometimes you're like, oh, but my CPU is like lags so much. What do I do? It's like, well, ultra fast and like bilinear and like maybe 2.5. It's like and maybe even 20 frames. Like this is pretty much if you got a crappy CPU. This is as far as you can go. But the thing is, when you watch this stream, it's gonna be so ugly. But the thing is, you're like, yo man, I just want to stream, and so these are the settings you're gonna use. At least my recommendation. And so that's that scenario. And that's the scenario that most people want to hear. They want to hear like, oh, what if I got a good bitrate and good computer? It's like, well, just do whatever you want. You could do whatever you want and it'll work just fine. But for people with crappy upload, with crappy computers, I think this is a good guideline to follow in a way, based on what you've seen in my previous 2 videos, maybe. So yeah, So hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you need any more tutorials on anything else, by all means, send me a PM. Y'all from your life. Peace out.